Good afternoon. Fast Eddie goes to the Philippines. Today's video, I am going to talk about the things that I did to take care of business: the mail, phone, and banking. Three things that I had to kind of get in order to make this move to the Philippines. I had an experience when I went 2 years ago, and both my credit cards, within like a day of being in the Philippines, became compromised, and I couldn't use them. Uh, my luckily my wife had them. We had cash, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. But it was an eye opener. The fact that both the credit cards had been compromised, and I was kind of out of luck. And if I had needed them, I would have been screwed. So here's what I did. I am changing my address. I'm using a mail forwarding service. I'm actually using iPostal. It costs about it's $120 a year. It was $100 to sign up. It's about $10 a month for an introductory thing. They have specials. That's just the one I use. I mean, there's plenty of them out there. The nice thing about iPostal is actually it's not just a PO box. It's actually a physical address that you can use, and I'm using an address in another state that doesn't have income tax. I am severing all my ties with the state of California once I move, other than collecting my pension, of course. And that way I won't have to pay income tax. I won't have to file income tax with the state of California. Obviously, I'll still have to file it with the feds, but that's the part of being a U.S. citizen. Uh, the iPostal, the thing I like about that is they post up the letter. They let you know when you have mail, and you can kind of look at the outside of the envelope, and you can tell whether it's something you need or maybe something you need to investigate further. If you don't need it, you just tell them to toss it. If you want them to shred it, they charge an extra fee for that. Um, if you want them to scan it, the letter that's inside to scan it, they will do that as well. I haven't taken advantage of that service yet, but if you need to look in more detail on what it is they're actually what the mail is, you have that option to have them scan it to you, and they will send it, and then you can read it and figure out whether you need to act on it or maybe print it up or whatnot. They will throw the mail away. They hold it for 30 days, and then they can throw it away. You can pay them to have it shredded, and then what you can do is, if you want the mail, you can have it sent to you. They offer. I thought they offered DHL and FedEx, but it appears that they only offer the address that I have only seems to use FedEx. I know on the initial thing when I looked at it, it said DHL, but I haven't inquired with that yet. I've had them. I've been using it for about 6 months now, and I'm having a lot of my mail go there. All my mail, my banking, everything. I'm trying to change my address over, so I wait a couple of weeks till mail accumulates, and I ask them to send it to me. A couple bucks for them to send it to me. They're usually pretty fast about it, and it works out well. Also, cash checks for you as well. I'm not sure how that works, but so far that everything is working out well. And in the event that I need another credit card, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the banking part, or debit card, I can have that forwarded to me from them. I'm sure it's going to cost me 100, 125 bucks, 150 bucks to have it forwarded DHL or FedEx. But if you need the card, you need the card. So I did make a change of address. So there's plenty of companies out there. Like I said, I use ipostal.com. No particular reason. Just came across them, saw what they had, and I went with them. And so far, so good. One of the things some expats do is they use their family, which is not a bad idea, to forward their mail to them, collect their mailing address. I just didn't want to do that. For one, I do have a brother living out in the state that Nevada that I'm going to be using, but I just wasn't. I just didn't want to do that. I'll pay the money. I'll have deal with it myself, and keep my family out of it. So, but if it works for you, hey, that's another way to do it too. Is to use a family member's mailing address. The phone. I've had a phone number that I've had for years. I didn't want to give it up. Most of my banks and everything is tied to that. So I ported that number over to Google Voice. It's a really easy process. You go to Google Voice, you set up your account, you get a number, or you can either get a number or you can port your number over. They'll take care of that for you. It costs you 20 bucks for them to do it. Verizon, in my case, charged 20 bucks to port my number over. And it works really well. If you've never used the computer for making calls, it works. It's a little bit of a lag, a little bit of getting used to as far as the communication when you're talking over the internet, but it works good. You can get that way the banks can text you. You're overseas, it doesn't really matter. You're using your computer as long as you have Wi Fi, you have access to your phone number. And that's going to work out pretty well for us. In fact, Lolita found out what I was doing, and she thought that was a great idea for her business. She has a side business and has a lot of clients here in the U.S. So she's going to continue with that. We ported her number over, and Google Voice is the way to go for that if you're going to be living internationally and you need to maintain a line. Some cell services offer international plans. They're kind of expensive. Um, but I did sign up for one. I signed up for T-Lo, and which is kind of it's a generic T-Mobile. I guess they use the T-Mobile network. I've heard some expats talking about it, so I went for it. It's a month-to-month plan. I got my wife a plan, got my son a plan, and we Tilo in it. It allows international calls, international text. So we do have a cell phone too, if I need that. And really, the reason I need a second, it's just a backup, is so I can communicate with the banks. I made sure the banks have both my numbers, and I want to be able to communicate because some they do that two-step verification, which is becoming more and more popular for all your accounts. So I want to make sure I have the ability to communicate with the banks, which leads me to my third point is my banking. Some banks don't let you have an address outside of the U.S. So that goes back to the seeing the number one. Or they have limits on what countries you can live in. There are certain countries that are known for drug smuggling and what are we talking? Just the God, I can't think of the word. Sorry. And anyways, uh, darn, I'm really drawing a blank on that one. But so the bank. So I have three bank accounts. I have the ability to move my funds between my bank accounts. One bank account, my main bank account, does allow international living to include the Philippines. Um, and I want those three banks. I can move money back and forth in between them at any time. That way, if one debit card goes bad, I have another debit card. I can move my money on the internet and I can access my money. Nothing worse than having money and being stuck and not being able to access it. It's not like you can drive down to the bank and tell them, hey, my card's compromised. I lost my card. Can you help me? I mean, it's a 13-hour flight back to the U.S. So anyway, so that's why I've set up three different accounts, three different debit cards. I'm going to have that money if I need to, if I can access it. And what else did I need to talk about? That's pretty much it. So you got your mail, you got your phones, and you got your banking. Set those three things up, and you'll be pretty good. I think this is going to work for us. Well, I'll have to revisit this issue to see if we have any problems. I will be setting up a Filipino bank account as well. Once I get my ACR card, because I'm a permanent resident, my wife already has a bank account there. We'll be setting up a joint account so we can move money from our U.S. accounts to our Filipino account. There's tax laws regarding that. If any time that you go over $10,000 into that foreign account, you have to report it to the IRS at the end of the year, tax season. And as for money laundering issues, that was the word I was looking for, money laundering. And you got to report that. So that's something I want to be aware of. Maybe I can avoid that. But building a house in the Philippines is going to be it's going to be you need a lot of cash to do that. You got to pay the workers every week, and we're acting as our own contractor, so we got to pay all the bills and buy all the product and everything. And so we're going to need cash to do that. Believe it or not, they don't sell stuff in the Philippines on good looks and charm. Otherwise, Fast Eddie would be home free. So cash is king, and some do take credit card. They tack on the 3% surcharge. The building supply stores do. We've checked into that, which is something we can consider. I certainly don't want to hold the project up if I'm waiting for cash. You can use Zeal. You can use your the money transfer fund. Zeal is one. Gosh, I can't even remember the Remitly. There's a whole bunch of them out there that you can use to move money around. I've got a couple on my phone that I've used. I've tried out. I've sent a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there to people in the Philippines and to my wife, make sure they all work and everything. So try it out before you go if you're going to do that. Make sure it works. Send a friend in the Philippines $1. It's all it needs to be is $1, and you're good to go to make sure it works. And if you have any glitches, you can work it out before you get there. Like I said, you don't want to be in the Philippines and have money sitting in your bank in the U.S. and not be able to access it. That would be a pretty sinking feeling. And you see some expats on YouTube who get in that situation. They become something happens to them, and usually it involves a woman. It seems like the woman takes their cards or takes their passport and leaves them high and dry, and they're standing on the street corner and wondering what the hell they're going to do now. And I would hate to see anybody get in that situation. So that's that there. The other thing about the Filipino bank is when you open up your Filipino bank, some banks allow you to have a peso account and a dollar account. So when you transfer your money in there, you can transfer it into your dollar account and then from your US bank, and then wait until the rate is good if you don't need the money right away. And when the rate is high, the exchange rate from pesos to dollar, you can make a little bit of extra money by converting it over once the peso is high. Right now, the rate is pretty good, 58 something, 58.3, I think it was yesterday. Normally, I've seen the highest I've seen it before when I've ever been in the Philippines is like 55. And 2 years ago it was like 51, 52. So you can make some money transferring your funds over from dollars to pesos. So that's it in a nutshell. This will be a topic we will revisit. Okay, because it's going to be. I know not going to be as smooth as I think it is, but it never is, and we'll come back and revisit it. All right, thanks, guys.